What's up, everybody? Give it a few minutes for some more to jump on. I wanted to jump on tonight unscheduled due to the new assassination attempt on the president. I wish I could say it's unbelievable that it's happening again, but unfortunately I can't at this point. We'll watch some of the videos that's been put out so far. See if we can figure out exactly what happened, or get an idea of what happened anyway. Can everybody hear me good? See me good? If you're just jumping on, especially on TikTok, if you would mind sharing the live, see if we can get some more in. I just finished recording a full breakdown video on the Florence, Alabama police body camera footage that was just released a couple of days ago on an incident up there. A lot of people have been messaging me asking my opinion on it, and I had not seen it, and so I did a reaction video on it, watching it for the first time. I'll put that podcast out. I'll release that podcast tomorrow. I'm sure some of you will find that interesting. A lot of people was saying it was police brutality and the police were in the wrong. Not from what I saw. I don't know what's wrong with people. Like, I was expecting it to be a little more in the gray area of what the police did, but it was not. They did absolutely nothing wrong. So I don't. It blows my mind that anybody could look at that and say the police were in the wrong. But that's the world we live in today. I'm sorry, Christy. I was doing family time earlier today, and I just came into the studio about an hour ago and did that video, and then just saw that what was happening, or what had happened at the correspondence dinner today, and so I thought I would jump on and talk about it for a little bit. So if you're not familiar, what we're talking about, I'll give a quick context. The White House Correspondents Association dinner is one of Washington's biggest annual media politics dinners, whatever you want to call it. Been going on for many years. And at tonight's event at the Washington Hotel, which was obviously packed out with some celebrities and then obviously big-time politicians. President Trump himself was there, Vice President J.D. Vance, First Lady, RFK Jr., and the list goes on. And At some point during the dinner, shots were fired, and the Secret Service obviously immediately got the president and vice president and RFK out of there. And it just, from the videos I've seen so far, it looks pretty much like complete chaos. And I could imagine with that many high profile people there, means you're also going to have tons of law enforcement presence, which can be very, very tricky when an incident like that takes place. And if they're not all trained on the same page, it can be disastrous. So far from what I've seen, they were all trained on the same page, and law enforcement did exactly what they're supposed to do and did a good job and handled the situation. But I want everybody to understand how crazy it is when you're talking about an incident like this with that much law enforcement presence. And we're also talking about a huge law enforcement presence of ununiformed LEs, which is a whole other dangerous level in itself. So the fact that there was no friendly fire incidents that we know of is amazing, honestly. I mean, it shows how well trained they are. We'll go ahead and pull up one of the videos. You hear that's all law enforcement yelling blue. That's pretty standard. Any kind of situation to try to avoid crossfire and friendly fire. But when you hear that coming from everywhere, again, this is very tricky, but that's what they're saying. Blue, blue, blue.
Where's it coming from? Where's it coming from? There's left. Wait.
That's what I'm talking about right there. It's obviously a LE with a long weapon, but I mean, he's in a suit. He's in plain clothes. My guess is the suspect was probably in a suit too. So, wow, this is. Ooh.
Coming from? Where's it coming from? Crossfire! Look out!
Bro, somebody go.
I want you to look at this guy standing here videoing. You would think almost anybody would have a little more sense than this. If you are not law enforcement on this scene and there's shots being fired, you need to get down and take cover somewhere. It's like, does this guy, he just don't care about his life? I don't. This stuff blows my mind.
We got one down. Jim!
What the? Oh my God!
Stay down, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, stay down.
It's crazy you even have to tell them that, but obviously you do. And this is not dogging the National Guard or anyone in the National Guard or military. And I'm sure a lot of National Guardsmen are law enforcement officers in the real world. So I'm not talking about them. I get the feeling these three that's standing here are not. Number one, this girl has her hands in her vest like she's just chilling. My point, these three have no business being in here. They obviously don't really know what they're doing. And again, I'm not knocking them. They're not trained like law enforcement. It's completely different. And I would think that these are MPs, military police. But I hope they're not. Now, the other ones that came in, you could tell they kind of knew what they were doing. So they probably are law enforcement. These, they don't know what to do. So therefore, it would be better for them to just not be in there.
Where's that at? Inside? They're not inside.
You see the difference, and this is what I'm talking about. These other National Guardsmen are standing over there, and then you see an actual law enforcement. He ain't standing around. He's sprinting inside to where the incident's going on, which is what he's supposed to do. Then they follow in behind that guy. Let's see, I think I got another one. But like I said, complete chaos. And it's a miracle that, as far as I have seen or heard so far, no one else was injured other than the suspect. So here's another. This is from inside when I guess they heard the first bangs. And I believe this is Vice President J.D. Vance. Yeah, that's going to be a Secret Service Special Response Team right there. Those guys are top of the line. They're the best of the best. I guess there's no audio on this one. Yeah, it looks like that's J.D. Vance. They get him out. I'm guessing the president was already out by this time. But you saw the way the Secret Service SRT team guys were coming in. That's the difference between experience, tons of training, and what I pointed out a while ago with the National Guardsmen. Big difference. You see the difference in the way they move. Those guys, again, very well trained. Some of the best in the business. That's a hard team to get on. Gabby, are you talking about Is it just me, or did it seem like it took forever to get him off the stage? Are you talking about the vice president? I don't know, because I don't know the timeline as far as, because we're just getting clips here and there. So I don't know how soon it had been since the booms have been heard to this point, but they have contingency plans in place. The Secret Service does. So these are scenarios they're going to go over and have plans drawn out for specifically in different scenarios for each event. So there would be a pre-staging area that already have set up to where they would know to go if something happened and all this stuff. What matters is the president and vice president, and again, as far as we know so far, everybody else is safe. So they did their job. The Secret Service has really stepped up their game, thankfully. They've had a complete change from top down, from the PA incident, which was a joke and embarrassing to this country. The person that was in charge of the Secret Service at that point had no business being in the position they were in, and that was obvious. And it almost got a president killed. But luckily, that opened a lot of eyes for the government to say, at least DOJ for sure, to say, we got to do something because this is not working. I mean, the difference between what you see the Secret Service doing in this incident than that day, night and day. Because what you saw in PA that day is quite a few agents that had no idea what they were doing. And that blows my mind. They had no clue what they were doing. But a lot has changed already. Because more than likely, now that they have the people in the positions that they need to be and the right leaders, they're putting the actual people that know what they're doing in these priority situations, priority positions. Versus before, it was more of a good old boy system and DEI stuff. I mean, it is what it is. And I don't say that to imply at all that females are not good agents, because that's not what I'm saying whatsoever. I'm talking about some of the females and males that were in positions that day had no business being in those positions, and the only reason they were is because of who they knew. Not an agency that you needed that needs to ever happen. Thankfully, again, we've gotten away from that. But it's crazy that this has happened again, though. Another attempt. I don't like the idea of the president and VP being in the exact same room and the exact same table. That needs to change, in my opinion. Can TikTok, can y'all see me? Because somebody said the screen's black for them, but on my side, it's not. Is that just them? Yeah, it must be you, Sienna. If you're not following, please hit the follow button. And also, when you get a chance, I do I have a full podcast. You can find that anywhere you find your podcast. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. You can find it under Agent D Baker. But yeah, I'm live on multiple platforms, so I can't see. I try to get to as many comments as possible, but I can't get to all of them. But so just be patient. If you've asked a question I didn't answer, just don't be afraid to ask it again. Hopefully, I'll see it this time. Yeah, from what I'm seeing from this incident, Secret Service did their job and they did it very well. So I got a timeline pulled up at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Shots were first heard fired. And by 9 p.m., Trump was safe back at the White House. So allegedly, the shooter attempted to breach security at the Magnometer checkpoint in the lobby area just outside the main ballroom. He was armed with multiple weapons, including a shotgun. He opened fire. Okay, so this is now saying one Secret Service. Says striking one Secret Service or law enforcement officer. So the officer was protected by body armor and is doing well. No serious injuries. Okay, awesome. So one was shot, but it hit their armor, thankfully. Secret Service agents responded instantly, stopping the threat and taking the suspect into custody right there on site. No shots reached the ballroom itself. Every protected official, the president, first lady, vice president, and cabinet was confirmed safe within minutes. The entire ballroom was evacuated in an orderly but urgent fashion. The dinner was officially canceled and will be rescheduled. President Trump has addressed the nation shortly afterward from the White House. He said the shooter had been apprehended by the Secret Service. He praised law enforcement for their rapid response, calling the suspect a sick person from California. Trump noted that agents stopped the threat from about 50 yards away. He said he wanted to stay and finish the event, but followed Secret Service protocol. He confirmed the First Lady, Vice President, and cabinet members are all in perfect condition. Now, what do we know about the suspect? Two law enforcement officials told the Associated Press the shooter had been identified as 31-year-old Cole Thomas. Cole Thomas Allen of Torrance, California. He is in custody. Details on motive are still under active investigation by the Secret Service, FBI, and Met Police. No further background has been officially released yet, but this remains a fast-moving story. As of right now, there are 0 injuries to any of the high-profile attendees or guests inside the ballroom. One officer was struck, but is in stable condition thanks to protective gear. So knowing a little bit of how this works. So if you're not familiar, outside perimeter security and entry security is done by the uniformed Secret Service officers. So there's 2 different divisions of the Secret Service. There's special agent side, where you have the protective agents and investigative agents, and then you have the uniform division. The uniform division is who protects the actual White House for the most part, all entry points and all that stuff. And the uniform division also has a team that travels with the president wherever he goes. And again, for these type of events, they set up the perimeter security, and they're the ones who won everybody coming in, making sure they don't bring in weapons and things like that. So they are responsible for the security of that. So that would have been who would be at the doors and things like that. And I'm not, just from knowing what I know right now, I'm still not completely clear on exactly how this happened. I know it says that he was trying to breach the first magnetometer. Let me find that again. Yeah, attempted to breach security at the magnetometer checkpoint in the lobby area just outside the main ballroom. So I'm guessing that's where the initial booms occurred, which would make me believe that more than likely the officer who was hit was probably a uniformed Secret Service guy or girl. Again, that's just speculation on my part, but more than likely that's probably what happened. So they did their job. They stopped him there at the entry point and took him into custody. Did what they needed to do. By the way, if you're trying to make this political, you're an idiot. No other way to put that. No need in bringing politics into this right now. Like, none. If you don't have a problem with someone trying to assassinate the president, you're part of the problem. And you need to go somewhere else. Because I don't care who the president is. I don't stand for being assassinated. How did the dude just walk in with a firearm? Well, he didn't. He tried to. He'll never be your president. Oh, so you're not American. Which is fine. What country do you live in? I cannot deal with the real TDS right now. No, it's bad. It's bad. So I'm trying to catch up on some comments. You believe in compassion and kindness? Yeah, we didn't become a country on compassion and kindness. I hate to tell you that. We became a country because we were fucking badass. Compassion and kindness won't get you much, won't get you far as a country in this world. Thank goodness the Secret Service agents wasn't worried about kindness and compassion tonight. They were worried about doing their job and taking care of business. Trying to see if anybody has any updates on possible motives or anything like that. More than likely, just a crazy person. Hey, thank you, Dwayne. I appreciate that. Christy, were you on when I showed what I showed a while ago? The guy was a teacher of the month in the world. All right, let's see what we got. Cole Tomas Allen, 31 years old, Torrance, California. He was reportedly a registered guest at the hotel, which allowed him access to an unsecured back storage area where he assembled a long weapon before attacking. Multiple reports and photos link him to the California Institute of Technology, which I believe is Caltech. He was a member. Yeah, it is. He was a member of Caltech's Blitzkrieg Bots robotics team that won the blah blah blah. Bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. Also, reportedly completed a NASA research fellowship. Reports indicate master's degree in computer science. Allen was a tutor at C2 Education of Torrance, a private K through 12 tutoring and test prep center offering SAT, ACT prep. He was named Teacher of the Month for December of 2024. Photos of him receiving the award in Los Angeles County have circulated widely. Other work. He developed and released an indie video game called Boredom on Steam in 2018, a physics-based asymmetrical fighting game involving electrons, nuclei, and something style gameplay inspired by atomic models. This aligns with his engineering CS background. Sounds like an interesting fella. Voter registration records, per report citing public data, show no party preference in some checks, but several journalists and activists have identified him as a registered Democrat. An alleged small $25 donation to Kamala Harris via Act Blue in 2024. No motive has been publicly released or confirmed by law enforcement. No manifesto, social media rant, or note has been mentioned. Officials have described Allen as a lone actor with no ongoing public threat or known accomplices. The attack appears premeditated. You don't say. He checked into the hotel as a guest, brought multiple weapons, long weapons, hand weapons, and knives, and assembled the long on site in a back room before charging the checkpoint. But why remains the unanswered question. I just hope we actually end up hearing something more about the guy than we still ever heard about the Butler, PA guy, which was, that whole thing was strange in itself. And I'm not buying what the government put out about that guy. That whole thing was weird. But hopefully, we got a completely different administration in now and leaders. So hopefully, we actually hear things on this guy as to if he was working with any radicalization groups or anything like that. See, I haven't seen here. Let me find a picture of the guy because I haven't seen him. I see some people talking about his t-shirt. So he wasn't in a suit. He does look like he was naked. What in the world? I mean, he looks like a normal guy. Obviously not, though. It would not be a good time to be an acquaintance of this guy because you're probably getting questioned already right now by the Secret Service or FBI. I'm not going to show it long because I don't want to give him that publicity, but I'll show the picture quickly.
No Facebook ads, no TikTok videos, no website, affiliate marketing without the usual roadblocks.
The man is
So obviously, this is him after they took him into custody. He looks like he didn't have any clothes on. He's got a heat blanket they've put over him. So I don't know what's going on there. No telling. I mean, y'all understand that they did their job the way they're supposed to and stopped him. I mean, so if someone wants to do harm, at some point they're going to be stopped. They have to be stopped. He didn't get into the ballroom at all, which is where the high profile guests were, where all the, I mean, the president, vice president, and cabinet members were. I'm just confused about why I keep seeing comments of how did they let this happen? They didn't. They stopped it. They did what they're supposed to do. I'm confused. Does that make sense? Yeah, now it's definitely possible they took his clothes off searching him. They did stop him, but this guy had an opportunity. I'm just not following you, Cynthia, honestly. I don't understand. He didn't get anywhere close to the HVAs, the high value assets, if you will. He didn't get anywhere close to them. So I'm not there wasn't an opportunity. He did not get past the security barrier. He was a guest at the hotel, so he had access to get inside the hotel, but he did not. He was stopped at the entry point to get into this event. Yes, Juliana. Yeah, he was stopped at the magnetometer, where that's going to be the entry point for everyone that has to go through to make sure they don't have any weapons on them or anything. So that's where he opened fire on a officer, striking them, and then he was taken into custody immediately. What are you talking about, Katie? You don't know, just seems really obvious. What seems obvious? I see Dana Watt was sitting in there as well. the hotel should have been shut down to random guests. Well, it's a private business. So, I mean, you'll just have to understand they can only shut so much down when the president's around. Like, it's that he walked up to a magnetometer with a weapon. Because that's as far as he knew he would get. He knew he wouldn't get through that. So he just, a lot of you are trying to think logically. Anyone that does something like this, they have zero logic going through their head, obviously. So you can't use logic. I mean, it goes, I pretty much said the same thing last night when I was talking about just investigating serious crimes. If you're investigating something and you're trying to think logically, you're trying to put logics to why something happened or how it happened, you're not going to understand the investigation. You can't do that because a lot of times things like this, there's no logic to them. That's why they're chaotic. That's why they're crazy. Again, he did not get past the first security point. They did their job. They stopped him at the first security point. Yeah, exactly. You can't be logic. You can't use logic with an illogical person. And again, anyone to do this, there's no logic. I mean, they're completely illogical. Well, and that's exactly what I'm saying, Tracy. Tracy said, I can't understand the mentality of someone thinking they'll pull this off. And that's what I'm saying. They're not thinking logically at all. If they were, they would know no sense in me trying this. It's not going to work. You're exactly right, Natalie. Natalie said, I haven't seen any heavy agents tonight. They look to be in good shape. Exactly. That's why this worked like it did. I don't think y'all understand how inside things work if it would have been an inside thing. This was not successful in any way whatsoever. If it would have been some kind of inside thing, there would have probably been some success to it. Don't you think? Now, some of you are thinking completely illogical, by the way, just to throw that out there. Why would they have staged this? What would anyone get out of that? That's very illogical thinking. Claim he's some Iranian, something to bolster support for the war. Well, they're not. Nobody's claiming that at all. You're just making stuff up in your head. I've been reading I've not seen anyone say anything like that. Nobody's claiming that at all. there's more than enough out that shows it wasn't any kind of op. Again, it was not successful in any way whatsoever. And he literally shot a Secret Service officer. Does anybody think somebody volunteered for that? Okay, in this that we're going to do, somebody's got to volunteer to get shot. Who wants that? See, again, some of you are not thinking logically at all. An officer was shot. Why the opportunity to potentially shot a Secret Service guy and unalive him? I don't understand your statement or question, Cynthia. Yeah, Cynthia, I'm not trying to be rude, but you just don't get it. You just don't understand things. You say, I just think they needed stronger security at the door for all guests. They did. That's what stopped it. Security is who stopped him. That's literally their job. That's why they're there in that exact location, to stop someone like that from getting access to inside the area. So here's the thing. Let's say they had moved that secure perimeter to the outside of the hotel. Well, guess what? The exact same thing would have happened just outside the hotel. Wherever they set up that secure area, that entrance point is where this guy was going to try to gain entry. It doesn't matter if it was 5 miles away from the event or where it was at the event. At some point, there has to be an entry point, a security entry point. And that's where the guy knew he wasn't going to get past that, so he was going to take a chance at taking somebody down there and then forcing his way past that. But it didn't happen because they did their job. See, that's what I'm not understand. How did he get on the premises with the? I mean, I'm not trying to be a smartass, but some of you just watch too many movies. You don't understand how this stuff really works. Like they can't just again, y'all expect them to shut down the whole city. Like I'm confused. They did the job they're supposed to do. The security perimeter was obviously set up in a great location because the guy got nowhere close to the high value assets inside. And this hotel is a private business. The government does not have the authority to shut down any private business just because of that. My uncle was Secret Service. I'm telling you, something is off. I have no idea what that has anything to do with what you're saying. Your uncle being Secret Service doesn't make you an expert at this. I don't know if he's still on, and I'm not going to call his name, but just a little while ago, we had a former Secret Service agent on here that I know personally. And he was saying that I think he was agreeing with everything I was saying. So one of my favorite quotes is, if you believe everything is a conspiracy theory, you're an idiot. If you don't believe any conspiracy theories are true, you're an idiot. Because some of them are. But everything is not a conspiracy theory or a conspiracy. Everything can't be a conspiracy. But yeah, if you don't believe any of them, yeah, you're an idiot because we know some of them turn out to be true. It's not, see, here's the difference. You're saying believe what I want. I'm not believing what I want. I'm looking at the actual evidence. I have no feelings involved in this. I'm simply looking at the evidence that's in front of our face. You have there's zero evidence of what you're saying. None. Your statement said hold on, what did it say? I'm telling you something is off. Tell us what is off. Oh, and I'm asking you, tell us what is off. You can't just say something is off. Tell us what you're talking about. I've been paid a lot of money for my critical thinking, so I think it's all right. It's not perfect, but not boasting about it. I think that's why people are on here listening to me, because they like my opinion. It's not me boasting. This is just what I do. But again, I'm asking, you can't just say something is off. Tell us what's off. I mean, I'm asking you no, you didn't. You didn't tell us what is off. You said something is off. I mean, it's a legit question. I don't think I think it's a fair question. I'm just asking you, you say something is off. I'm curious as to what you're saying is off. You may change my mind. I mean, seriously, but you got to tell me something. Oh, I'm sorry, Jessica. I thought that was you that said that. Hold on. Let me go back and see who said that. I'm sorry. Jessica, I'm looking at your comment. I don't know who you was agreeing with. Your comment says, my uncle was Secret Service. I'm telling you something is off. Yeah, so I'm asking you, what is off? Start with people ducking behind tables while smiling and taking selfies. Yeah, I pointed that out. People were ignorant. There was one guy standing straight up videoing it. That's because people are stupid. So your logic, so by you saying that, you're trying to imply that everyone in the ballroom was involved in this and knew this was not real, which included Democrats and Republicans inside there. So they all just got together and said, "Hey, we're going to act like that there's a shooting going on, but it's not real, so you don't have to be worried." But no, I agree with you. People were ignorant. I mean, I pointed that out when we watched the one video. The guy's just standing straight up video and instead of getting down. I don't want to agree to disagree. I wanted to literally hear you said something was off. I was just wanting to know what you were saying was off. I don't look at it as arguing. I look at it as debating, which I love. I enjoy it. I mean, I love debating. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I enjoy it. I enjoy talking to people that have different outlooks than me, that have different opinions than me. I enjoy talking to people like that. As long as we can keep it civil, which we were. But in real life, if you're investigating something, especially a crime, you can't just say something's off. You got to say what. Like if you write that in a report, the report's going to get laughed at. I mean, I saw your explanation about the people ducking under tables but smiling and taking selfies. And my response to that was, so you're implying that everyone inside the ballroom was involved in this? Which that's crazy. I mean, just to be honest with you, uh, Democrats, Republicans, all these people inside there got together before this, and they were all involved in this. Come on. Oh, the lava lamp's not on. I'm sorry. Nope, never said that. Hold on. Hold on. Again, I'm not trying to be an asshole, Jessica, but you have no you just can't back up what you're saying. This is your comment. You said you didn't say that. I put words in your mouth. You said, let's start with people ducking behind tables while smiling and taking selfies. My response to that was, yes, people are ignorant. They're stupid. Okay, so who are you say? You never said everyone in the ballroom was in on it. Then what does that mean? What are you implying when you say people were ducking under tables and smiling and taking selfies? Because that I can't think of anything else you could mean. So tell me exactly what you were implying by that statement then. I'm just asking you to explain your answer. I don't think that's unfair. So I'm asking you, what were you implying by that, making that statement? It's D just or it's just D chill out. Are you talking about me? Okay. I mean, I didn't know. I was just gonna ask you why you thought that if you were, but glad you're not. How about this? I can't come up. I'm at the hospital, but I will clip the video and DM it to you. Okay. Again, I'm not disagreeing with you if you say some people were smiling taking selfies. I don't doubt that. Again, people were stupid. All right, let's move on. Hold on. Let me get the lava lamp turned on. All right. If you're not following me, please do that or subscribe, whichever platform you're on. Also, make sure at some point you check out my full podcast. And you can find that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And you can find me anywhere under Agent D Baker. And we do have an X profile now. So if you're on X, make sure you follow us on there as well. Down with corporations. You ever been to a country that don't have corporations? I have. Not somewhere I'll ever be living. I'm guessing you have not. Go take a trip to Haiti and come back and tell us how you feel about corporations. Pay livable wages for the hardworking Americans. I've always made a very livable wage. And I didn't get special treatment. My father went to prison when I was 8. He's been in prison pretty much my whole life. I was a C student all through high school. But I've made a pretty good living. It's choices you make. It's not the government's responsibility to pay you. It's not what the government is for. Yeah, David, I actually recorded a podcast breaking that video down tonight, and that'll be live tomorrow. So make sure you check it out. But I mean, my opinion is the officers did absolutely nothing wrong. If anything, they showed restraint. But they did absolutely nothing wrong. They were completely in the right. Again, like I said, if anything, they showed restraint. They showed more restraint than I would have. I was expecting it to be worse because I kept seeing comments about how bad it was, and I watched it, and I don't know what anybody would see that and say that there was something wrong with what they did. And I've actually worked alongside Florence Police Department before, and I was always very impressed with them. They're pretty well trained. I was always impressed with their training, and yes, Florence, Alabama. And I've seen their SWAT operate in person. Very impressed with them. How do I believe he got into a hotel room with all his weapons? I've I've never been in a hotel that has metal detectors. Actually, I've never been in a hotel where I haven't carried a weapon inside. Yeah, you're exactly right, Natalie. The man in Florence just wouldn't quit. He was given more than a few chances. Uh, like I said, they had more patience than I would have because he was distracting them from what they were doing, and it could have been dangerous. And he had these friends or whatever they were across the street that wouldn't try and help him at all. They want to complain about the police. Why weren't those so-called friends trying to stop him from getting into trouble? They weren't. They were just sitting there. And then they want to get mad at the police for having to do their job? Come on. Do I think they should have done a sweep of the entire hotel because of the event being held? I'm sure they did. If you mean searched everybody, they don't have that right. Just because the president's somewhere doesn't mean everybody's constitutional rights go out the window. So, I mean, it's not, they don't have the authority. They can't go in and search all the rooms for weapons or anything like that. They can't do that. And like I've said, it's a private business. The hotel's a private business. They can't just shut it down. One of Nick's minions just laughed at your picture in your DV video. Well, they may look like that one day. There should be a stipulation when checking into a hotel that they advise they are armed. No, this is the United States. That there shouldn't be. I don't agree with that at all. Plus, I go in places all the time that say no firearms allowed, and I have one on me, just nobody knows. Oh, I understand, Nancy. Hope you have a good night. That's not the Fourth Amendment. It's the Second Amendment. Fourth Amendment is search and seizure. Oh, it's fine. I know it was a simple mistake. Let's see if they have any more videos come out. Here's one I haven't seen. Doesn't show much, but You can't have it on you in the inside the plane. Yeah, you can check it. I don't go anywhere unarmed. Nowhere.
But I got my hat pulled down.
Wow, that's loud.
I have been in touch with top officials at the White House. This is what I can tell you. And the details are actually pretty specific now, that the shooter charged the magnetometer closest to the front door, took a shot at a uniformed division service agent. And he, at that point, they don't know whether they haven't confirmed if he's alive. Yeah, the shooter is in custody, I'm told, at this point. Everyone is okay. And the last thing I can tell you is that, the White House does not want him to go back, but I'm sorry, what?
Everybody's protected.
Okay, Tuscaloosa County.
Oh, God. Erica Kurt was in there, too. Jesus. Oh, that's horrible. It's all about awareness. Do you have someone stay in your house and not mention they are armed? No, pretty much anybody that stays in my house, I know they're probably armed. And if I don't trust them being armed, they're not going to be staying in my house. Newsmax. Let me see.
Field Office Darren Cox. We're here to provide you an update on the incident that took place tonight at 8:36 p.m. at the Washington Hilton at the site of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. At about that time, a sole gunman rushed a Secret Service checkpoint in a lobby at the hotel. Secret Service agents stopped the suspect. An agent was injured and transported to a local hospital where the agent is receiving care. The suspect is also transported to a local hospital where he is being evaluated. The president returned safely.
I didn't mean to do that.
Field Office Darren Cox. We're here to provide you an update.
Hold on, I got to. I don't try to be a smart ass, but sometimes y'all make it so easy. But there's somebody in the comments that just asked what the difference in an airport and a hotel is. I'm guessing you mean airplane, because that's what we're talking about. So the big difference, an airplane flies in the air. A hotel does not do that. That's the main difference between the two. There are numerous other differences as well. I knew I could teach somebody something tonight. I'm sorry, I know that was mean.
On the incident that took place tonight at 8:36 p.m. at the Washington Hilton at the site of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. At about that time, a sole gunman rushed a Secret Service checkpoint in a lobby at the hotel. Secret Service agents stopped the suspect. An agent was injured and transported to a local hospital where the agent is receiving care. The suspect is also transported to a local hospital where he is being evaluated. The president returned safely to the White House, as you know. We are so very thankful to members of law enforcement who did their jobs tonight and made sure that all guests were safe. We have no reason to believe at this time that anyone else was involved. I want to turn to the Chief of the Metropolitan Police Department, Chief Carroll, to provide a law enforcement update and specifics.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, I'm Jeff Carroll, Interim Chief of Police for the Metropolitan Police Department. This afternoon, this evening, members of the United States Secret Service and the Metropolitan Police Department were here at the Washington Hotel for a site detail for the Correspondence Center. As the mayor mentioned, at approximately 8:36 tonight, an individual charged a U.S. Secret Service checkpoint here in the lobby area of the hotel. He was armed with a shotgun, a handgun, and multiple knives. As he ran through that checkpoint, members of law enforcement from the United States Secret Service intercepted that individual. This is a very preliminary investigation at this point. We do know that law enforcement exchanged gunfire with the individual. We do know that a U.S. Secret Service uniformed division officer was struck in his vest. He was transported to a local hospital for treatment. He seems to be in good spirits at this time. The suspect in this case, he was not struck by gunfire. However, he was transported to a local hospital to be evaluated. Again, we're very early in the investigation. We have members of the United States Secret Service, the Metropolitan Police Department, and the FBI here to continue to investigate this matter. But at this point, it does appear he is a lone actor, a lone gunman. There does not appear to be any sort of danger to the public at this time. However, we are continuing to investigate this matter. At this point, I will turn it over to, I believe, the FBI.
Hi, good evening. I'm Darren Cox. I'm the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's Washington Field Office. The American public should be proud of the quick response and heroic actions from law enforcement officers tonight to keep the American public safe. Their actions are absolutely heroic. The public should also rest assured that there will be no stone unturned during this investigation. The FBI currently has our Joint Terrorism Task Force here on scene, along with our Criminal Division, our Crisis Response Team, and agents from across the country are working on any leads that may come in this investigation. Anyone with tips in this investigation should call 1-800-CALL-FBI. Thank you.
Director Kern.
Thank you. My name is Sean Kern. I'm the Director of the Secret Service. Tonight, we saw exactly what our brave men and women do each and every day to protect our protectees. It's not easy, and I will tell you that they performed admirably. We got to see what they do, and that individual, when he charged a checkpoint, was apprehended. It shows that our multi-layered protection works, and I'm grateful to our partners that help assist us with building these sites and protecting these sites. Very fortunate that this officer is alive, is being observed, and I'm grateful that the President reached out to this officer and spoke with him earlier. I ask everybody to pray for him and all of our officers and agents that were involved, and I will tell you, we will continue with the mission. Thank you.
Thank you. Judge Pirro.
I'm Janine Pirro. I'm the United States Attorney. Right now, the defendant is being charged with 2 counts, 924C, using a firearm during a crime of violence, and a second crime under 111, which is assault on a federal officer using a dangerous weapon. Now, as you all know, there was an individual, a uniformed Secret Service officer, who was shot. Unfortunately, he is doing all right and he will be fine. But it is clear, based upon what we know so far, that this individual was intent on doing as much harm and as much damage as he could. And thankfully, because of the checkpoint right outside the ballroom, where thousands of people were situated to hear the President of the United States, because that checkpoint worked, there was no one who was injured when it was clear where this defendant was going. Now, I want to make one comment. As a participant, someone who was in the ballroom, who came this evening to be part of a very lovely event at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, I, for the first time, was in a situation where there were shots fired, shots heard, and a whole room went silent. When I lifted my head and when I looked up, every law enforcement officer was out there as we all had our heads down, thousands of them, These are the men and women every day who do what they do silently, and they do it with courage and with dignity. Thank God for our partners, the FBI, the Secret Service, the Metropolitan Police. All of them tonight acted so quickly that they prevented what could have been a horrific event where we were all sitting there in one room. The defendant will be arraigned on Monday in federal district court. But make no mistake, there will be many more charges based upon the information that we are learning in this very fluid situation. Thank you.
Field Office Darren Cox. We're here to provide you an update on the incident to the White House.
Okay, we'll do a couple and then we go to the chief. Madam Chairman, I just want to say.
You, as well as some of us who have covered Butler, experience.
This was an event dedicated to
the FBI interviewing guests as they left the ballroom. I want to bring in now the CEO of Newsmax, Chris Ruddy, who was in.
Ed, you've been to these dinners 100 times. You know what they're like. They're about 15 or 2,000 people in a room, and everyone.
Okay, we're showing video now, by the way, of Secret Service officers running through the halls of the Washington Hilton, as you can see. Stand by, Charles, because we've got Jonathan Gillum as well.
Thanks,
we want
Charles.
to get him in, and we appreciate you, Charles. We'll come back to you in a minute. Jonathan, what are you making of this video you're seeing? What's playing out here in Washington tonight, sir?
Well, you know, listening to Charles talk there just a second ago, I'm just astounded that there was any way that a shooter would be able to get into the vicinity of the president inside. As I'm watching this right here, I don't know. It's a weekend. I'm sitting here trying to create a hobby because I've always worked and work out. That's all I ever do. And I can't even do that because this ridiculousness keeps happening over and over again in this nation. And to see this response by the Secret Service of them moving towards something that's inside that, I'm astounded by it. I have been around the Secret Service for many, many years, starting when I was in college. Ronald Reagan, actually, even before that, when I was elementary or junior high, when Ronald Reagan visited Little Rock, Arkansas. And then again, when Bill Clinton was elected president, and I was working at a hotel and all the Secret Service were staying there. So I was the van driver taking them everywhere. And they were fit, they were astute, and no one got close. When Ronald Reagan came into town, they shut the whole city down. And yet somehow somebody gets a weapon inside of this event. I'm shocked by it.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, you can tell I'm very frustrated by it.
Yeah. As
They didn't get inside the event.
Ritu Jang.
And law enforcement has requested that we leave the premises consistent with protocol.
Okay, so it looks like our mics are hot. So I think I saw the First Lady put her hand over her mouth. She clearly heard gunshots or something.
And here they are.
And now they're
off
being
the
rushed
stage.
out. This is the video I was referring to. Something positive that people are in the room and they haven't for
As you
Georgia on fire, like the whole state. What? I've not seen this. Let me see. Oh, wow. Let me bring it back up there. Jeez, it's already scorched 40,000 acres. Hmm. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. Jeez. Hmm. That's horrible. Hmm. Yeah, you're correct, Natalie. This makes 3. All right. I'm going to head on out for the night. I appreciate each and every one of you for being on. I enjoyed the conversation. Again, thankfully, this worked out well for the good guys tonight. I'm very thankful for that. And if you're not following, please do that, or subscribing, whichever platform you're on. Make sure you check out my full podcast. You can find that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. You can find me anywhere under Agent D Baker. And my normal lives are Mondays and Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Central, and Friday nights, 9 p.m. Central. So I'll be back Monday night at 8 p.m. And hope you all join then. Again, I'll be releasing it's just about a 20-minute podcast tomorrow, so make sure you check that out. And then we'll go from there. Hope everyone has a great rest of your Saturday night and good weekend. If there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to let me know. If you have any information, whether it be on cases I'm covering or something you'd like to see me cover, please don't hesitate to send that information to us, and your name will always stay confidential no matter what. Welcome to Truth Recon. I'm Agent D. Baker, former narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy combat veteran. With years of real-world experience in high-stakes environments, I've seen firsthand the dangers that lurk both in our communities and now increasingly online. Before this show begins, understand this. What you are about to hear may be disturbing to some audiences. This podcast contains explicit language, dark themes, and real conversations that are not suitable for children and may be triggering for some individuals. If you choose to continue, do so knowing this content is intended for mature audiences only. Discretion is advised.